Welcome back to the Mind Body Content Podcast. We are your hosts, Nick Pinelli, Raymond Oliveras, and Chris Lawler, and we are here to educate you about the three things all entrepreneurs must pay attention to: mind, body, and that content. Please don't forget to follow, like, and subscribe on wherever you consume your content. On today's show, we will be discussing burnout and how it affects all of us. Nick, Raymond, it has been a while. How is everybody doing today?
Man, it feels great to be back in the seat.
Yeah,
Talking
right?
to you guys. It does. It feels really, really cool.
Yeah, likewise. It feels good to have a flow again.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Although
been
I
far
will
too
say,
long.
Chris, you're missing your hat. You're missing your
I
matching
know,
hat,
I
dude.
know. I'm not fitting into the hat club today. My bad.
I mean,
But
you have a hat, but it's just not the right hat.
yeah, exactly. So it's forgive me. I wanted to go grab it, but I just didn't go do it. So I'm just going to be the odd man out today.
But I
Uh,
just didn't.
yeah, but I just didn't. So it's been a while since we chatted, man. How has the last month been going for you guys as entrepreneurs, as you guys have been tackling your newest clients, everything we took away from the live event, and so on and so forth? I know I've been feeling burnt out some weeks. How about you?
Yeah. So basically it's been a lot. It's been like almost a month already since we've last did the
Wow.
thing. Like it's crazy. It's already
That's a
been
long
so
time.
long. And I have definitely felt a little burnout. Came back and I was like putting out fires as much as I could, and now I'm like getting control of my schedule. And so turning things around so I don't continue to burn myself out. Essentially. What about you, Nick?
You've been fire, so there have been lots of fires that
Fires
have been
to put out.
burning.
That's what happens, right?
And now they're all starting to burn out. So we're in this weird place. No, I think I'm pretty sure that the last episode that the listeners got to experience was actually us at the live event. So to catch everyone up, it's been a while since we've actually got to come back to this version and really be able to talk to each other. And since coming from back from that live event and meeting these guys in person, I think all of us got super invigorated, really excited about what we were doing in our businesses. And I think all of us had that initial 1 to 2 week push where everything was firing on all cylinders, super excited. And then there's that slump that happens right after it. And so all of us, I can say to some degree from the communications that we have been having in between, have had those days where it's like, what am I doing with myself
Yeah.
right now? Which is where that burnout comes into effect. And as we were coming up with topics for the episode, this was a unanimous yes. This is things that everybody deals with. Let's talk about how we handle it,
Yeah, absolutely. Burnout is real. You can only push yourself so far sometimes, and whatnot. So I figured we go ahead and start off with a little mindset quote, like we do every episode. This one comes from Sam Keen. Burnout is nature's way of telling you you've been going through the motions. Your soul has departed. You're a zombie, a member of the Walking Dead, a sleepwalker. False optimism is like administrating stimulants to an exhausted nervous system. Exactly. I mean, that was a very complex kind of answer from Sam, very philosophical, but really is correct. Like you can only push yourself so far, right?
Yes,
Even
Chris,
with
could
that,
you do me a favor real quick and explain that in dumb person terms? Not
I'm
for
gonna
me,
try.
of course,
Of course,
but for
not for
others.
me. Yeah.
Not for me, of course.
Yeah,
It's
when you
for me.
just
It's for
show
me.
up
Thanks,
and
Nick.
you don't have that passion and that drive to continue to go tackle your task because you've exhausted yourself. Your soul has left the body. There's no more part of the creative process left. You're just doing robot style, or a zombie, as he explains it here. And of course, using that false optimism is like administrating stimulants to an exhausted nervous system. What he's really talking about there is that sometimes your optimism is pushing so hard and you can only stimulate, a nervous system that's going to respond to it, right? So if your body is completely exhausted, it doesn't matter how much hope and everything that you're trying to give yourself, your body is drained and you can't go anymore and your brain is done. So it's time to rest. And I think that I get that. All the things you have to do, right? So if you just keep pushing yourself to keep knocking these things off, they'll get done. But at some point, you're going to hit that wall and you're going to come crashing down. And that's where you don't want to be.
Yeah, yeah, that makes a lot of sense now that it was put into those terms.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah,
but
makes
I
yeah.
I've had an experience too, gentlemen, where you have your sort of spiritual desire and your want to continue to move forward, and you
Mhm.
know that there's something else that's on the list to do, but you physically can't. Like your body and your mind just won't allow you to really concentrate and focus. I think we've all had different conversations at different points about how to get around something like this, but I feel like burnout is like that, but to the 10 millionth degree, where it's not just, oh, this moment, how do I focus on this day? But it's where you've been so driven, so focused for a period of time where now it almost feels like that all day long, or you're dealing with this issue that's coming up into your world of really staying focused and really staying motivated and driven for a longer period of time. Do you guys ever have moments like that where it's like, oh, not just like I need to go outside for just a little bit, but it's almost like all day today. I don't want to do it,
Mhm.
you know?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm fucking I'm feeling it now. I like listening to the quote and then re-listening to how like Chris explained it. I was like, oh yeah. And one thing I like to add to that is what I'm noticing. If you're not a, if you're systems and you're not organized person, like you get burnt out even quicker when
Way quicker.
everything is going
Right.
on. And that is what's happened to me in literally the past 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I had a whole bunch of new things happen to me all at once. As soon as I got back from the East Coast. And like I I was just putting out fires and fires and fires. And then I was like just getting so tired to like last Wednesday, my body just was like, we're not doing anything today. And it was not a intentional thing, but I was able to get back to a good headspace later in the day. But like I personally is like getting that organization done for me is going to help me with not feeling burnt out and feeling like I have control. Because I know there's an article we're reading. It's like when you feel burnt out, you feel kind of out of control a bit too. Um, you don't know the direction that you're going. You're just kind of going through the motions, doing things as they pop up, rather than planning and stuff like that. And
You're
so,
being reactive instead of active and stuff like
yeah.
that. And sometimes that can just
Mhm.
feel overwhelming, right? You're not doing the things that you need to get done for the day. You're just getting the things that are done that are getting things done that are being thrown at you.
Yeah.
And then that can, once again, overwhelm you because now you woke up with a mindset, I'm going to be doing this today. And then all of a sudden, all these 10 other things are thrown at you. So you didn't even get to your task. And you know that's sitting there on the back burner and you know you need to get to it. And you know it's important and stuff like that, and that's what definitely happens. So, yeah, I love it. Being the
Yeah,
master of your own domain and your own chaos definitely helps that.
yeah, and I think a lot of the books that we read or the what is the word? The coaches that we listen to all say something similar of if you can organize your time, well, that's incredible, and that's how you can really curve a lot of this from coming on to you. But it's a constant challenge. It's something that you're doing all the time of reestablishing yourself. In fact, before we hopped on this call, we literally had a little micro tribe between the three of us of just discussing, well, how do we set up these systems and how do we keep them going in place? So if you don't, this is what happens. This is where burnout is. And it happens to everybody, I think, on whether you're brand new to business or you've been doing it for years in your multi-million-dollar company. Like Raymond, you were telling me that there were some incredible people that you were listening to that are still like, I spend an hour or two scrolling on Facebook and Instagram just because I get so burned out. It's like
Hmm.
it happens to everyone at every stage of the game, and it's a reaffirming of how do we handle this. So I would love to dive into some of that stuff here too.
Yeah. So how do you guys handle it? When do you just let it all overwhelm you and you just let it come
Yeah,
crashing down for the day, or do you
yeah.
actually
I just turn
like
off all the
things
lights in my room and cry.
fetal position and
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely. I kind of actually I lay on my floor like a starfish.
Okay.
Actually, just flat out need to go out. No, for me personally, there have been a few different ways that I've been trying to handle this a bit more effectively. The biggest ones that I'm getting are right now is going outside and exteriorizing. A lot of the work that we do as content strategists is here on the computer with something that's right in front of us, or like our phone, which is all fixed distance, and our focus points get to a certain area and then they don't go beyond that. So I like to get outside, just take a walk for, 5-10 minutes and kind of just look at the trees that are out there, or look at the ground, or whatever. You know what I mean? Just notice the environment around me. That's a really big one. And then I've been really big too on taking some time to myself, whether it's outside or inside, of taking that time to personally reflect of what is happening in my day. Where's my mind at right now? Why is it this way? And sometimes just saying things out loud or writing things down has been very effective for me to be able to focus my mind and where it's been.
Nice. Raymond, what do you do? You go for a constitutional?
To dealing with like burnout, just feeling overwhelming. When I'm feeling overwhelmed, I will go on a walk or I'll go on a run. Um,
Another
uh,
walker, yeah.
yeah, walks are
I mean,
great.
that's a good
Walks
one,
is the
man. Just
source.
It's a
getting out into
classic. It's a
nature,
classic.
fresh air,
Yeah,
it's
They've only been
mindless.
doing it for millions of years. So
Right,
right.
exactly.
It's it's kind of figured out.
yeah, it makes sense.
No, that's pretty much what I do. I mean, now I'm like kind of wanting to prevent the burnout more. Like, I'm just trying to get on top of my shit. So, like, getting organized, getting on top of your shit, and with so many different moving pieces, um, like it's one thing. Like I had when I was just so now I have another business now, and like on top of like the video stuff, and there were some new things that were thrown at me with the video stuff on top of the new business. So and I realized I didn't have the systems in place, and I was kind of just doing. So it's just like literally like everyone's like getting the systems in, getting organized with all the systems, so that I don't burn out. Because with the video business, I wasn't feeling burnt out because I had a good thing going, and then just some new things and stuff like that. So, what about you, Chris? What do you do?
Walks are good, but I always come back with still a lot of like a restless leg syndrome when it comes to the energy that I've pent up. When I get overwhelmed, I am it's like steam is coming out of my head, right? Like I am definitely overworking my brain and I need to shut it down. So I actually go play video games. It's a way for me to turn off that working side of my brain and go do something a little mindless. Lately, one of the things I've been doing is playing virtual baseball, right? The new MLB, the show came out. So I've been sitting there and there's nothing complicated about it. Pitch a ball, hit a ball. You know what I mean? I get to at least just shut that off. I'm not thinking about work at that point. And then, of course, when it gets really extreme, then I usually just take the day. Try not to come back to it that day. Come back with fresh eyes the following day. And that always seems to work for me. Fresh
So
eyes, fresh mindset, usually always, you're looking at it from a different angle the next day. So
there's days for you that are basically a wash, right? Where
yeah,
it's like,
I had one last week. Yeah.
yeah,
And I had to
man,
I had to call my mentor, my coach, and ask permission for me to take the day off because I know how much work needs to get done. I know what we need to be doing, but when your body physically just cannot persevere through that thought process and all the things going wrong and stuff like that, it's time to just take the day. Yeah. So some days can be a wash like that, but in a good way because then I can push 12
yeah.
hours the next day because I'm refreshed.
It's funny that you said that, because I said it's a wash, but I said this, I think, on one of our earlier podcasts. It's not like hanging out with your friends or doing the things that you like to do means, oh, it was a wasted day.
No,
I'm not trying to be that kind of a person.
no,
I
no,
swear,
no.
you know. But I think when it comes to this and what we like to do as entrepreneurs is we like to focus, get really involved in our business, and move on to the next step very
Yeah.
quickly. How when you do all of that, when you're not performing at that level, you kind of think, oh no, like I'm not doing my business as well as I could. But the thing
Yeah.
is that if you're
Mhm.
at that really high level in your business and then you leave, totally depart, you can be that involved and that focused with your friends, with your family, with whatever
Mhm.
else you're doing. And it's more fulfilling that way. So it's like I'm spending time doing the business 100% focused on that. And now I'm spending time with my friends and I'm totally involved in conversation.
Right.
I feel more deeply involved with them than I have in a long
Yeah.
because I'm not worried about what's going on in my business, you know?
I mean, once again, that's the whole point of the podcast, right? You've got to take care of your mindset. You've got to take care of your physical health as well, or else you're never going to produce the quality content. It should be fun, right? This is a creative process. I shouldn't feel bogged down and like this is a chore, right? We chose this because it's fun and creative and different, and it's not a 9 to 5 job that we just have to show up to. So it kind of can be on our terms, and sometimes you just have to let that go. I've never been an entrepreneur before. This is all new. It's all exciting and stuff. So sometimes you just have to kind of forgive yourself, give yourself permission to take that time, and just know that, I mean, it's not like I took like 2 weeks off just because I wanted to. I knew I was going to come back and tackle that. So it's just being energized, refreshed, you know, able to do it, because burnout is real. We've got some nice stats here that we looked up. 70% of professionals feel that employers aren't doing enough to prevent and alleviate burnout. So not only as an entrepreneur do I have to give myself permission to take time off from my burnout, but just think about the other people that you might be hiring as well. Because burnout is real. And I have definitely been the employee at plenty of places where they're just, you have to show up every day, do exactly the time parameters that we set for you. We're never going to give you days, off or anything like that, or any leeway for being late or having a life outside of this place. And we won't ever excuse you for feeling overwhelmed or burnt out. You just need to show up and do. And I've always hated that. So if you're an entrepreneur that not owns people, well, that was the wrong.
Whoa.
Excuse me.
Pause
Good
Whoa.
there.
Lord.
Not allowed.
I'm a little burnt out.
Yeah.
I said the
Yeah.
wrong thing. But if you've got employees, you definitely need to think about their mental health, because if you're worried about your bottom line, they're the ones helping you make that income. So if you're burning them out and stressing them out, or if your burnout is, driving them crazy because you're not taking care of
Mm.
yourself and stuff like that, it trickles all down. And you don't want to be
Yeah.
doing that,
At
because
what
that
at
does
what
cost you
point
money.
at what point does it become a detriment to your business too? Having people
Hmm.
working that are burned out, right? They can't be as successful, they can't think
Right.
as clearly, they can't make all the right smart, strong moves. And a lot of times too, when it comes to being an entrepreneur, part of the or really being able to manage people effectively, the goal is to get them to operate at their highest level possible in order for for your business to run
Yeah.
efficiently and effectively. So if they're not running at their highest level possible because they are burned out and you're overworking them and all that kind of stuff, it can really hurt what is going on in the future of your business, who they're going to be in the future, and how effective you not only how effective for your business be for anybody that is helping or giving value to.
Yeah. And Raymond, you've got a couple of employees, right? You've hired a few editors and whatnot. Who else do you have under your banner right now?
Yeah, so right now I have a videographer,
Okay.
and then I have some editors, and they're not the editor. I don't. They're not like full time employees.
Yeah.
They help me out a lot on multiple projects, um, and so I'm. It does, like, when I'm not at my best,
Yeah.
it really just does easily trickle down to right to them and stuff like that. People
Yeah.
sense it, people feel it. If the leadership is not there, the vision. Actually, I have a great example that's not me. I have a friend who runs an organization. It's a music organization, and he he's like he got to the point of his business where he could see like the vision, and he was trying to do all these different things, and get all these people to
And I how I feel about this. Really, it's any sort of burnout that we're feeling on any different range. And it's very easy it's very easy to experience burnout if you're not on the same page as your leadership team,
Oh yeah.
your management team, everything like that. Because to me,
Yeah.
what a lot of this boils down to is purpose, right? What's the purpose of the group? What's the purpose of the business? What's the purpose of the product that we're trying to give out? How does it help people? And if
Yeah.
I know and agree with that purpose, I can stay on board a lot longer. But if I don't, I'm going to get burned out really, really quickly.
You're bringing up flashbacks to my last production job at Production Point. I'm gonna
Oh, did I?
go ahead and just shout them out. I don't
Damn.
care. It was rough, man. I mean, once again, they were
Yeah,
trying to
I
be
didn't
creative
name names. I
entrepreneurs. They had
know.
no vision, and my burnout was real. It was causing me mental, physical stress. I hated going in, hated the fact that I was going to be there the next day, and the boss was never there. It was a mess of a place. They just left food laying around everywhere. They would throw these parties that were just smoke and mirrors for investors to make it look like they were further along than they were, but then they never actually produced anything. Oh, it was a nightmare. So I'm probably 10% of that 40% statistic
You
on
alone.
there.
I'm
Yeah,
10%.
I'm 10% of it by myself.
Oh, dang.
But the reason we're talking about employees and why it's good to not burn them out and keep them longer is because it costs you money. It's going to cost you money to constantly be hiring someone, training them from scratch, trying to get them up to the speed where you want them or need them to be at. Right here, it says that workplace stress costs the US economy an average of $300 billion per year. Just think about that. I mean, once again, it's not cheap to hire new people. It's not cheap to have to do the paperwork to let them go. You know,
Mm-mm.
it's probably more cost effective to hire people from within that understand your vision, that do not have to work so hard to pick up your slack because you're not doing what you need to do as an entrepreneur. And that way you can actually move the boat forward.
Yeah. Yeah. For the turnover, it just costs way, like hiring
Mhm.
someone and doing the turnovers costs way more money than keeping someone long term. Paying
Yeah.
the money for training, getting them up to speed takes longer, it takes
Yeah,
time,
it costs money to file those docs with the local and federal governments and
Oh,
stuff like
yeah.
that every time
All
you
that.
hire someone. Then you have to get, payroll involved, and it's a lot more work than I think people think.
Sure.
And it's once again, it's much better to be like, let's bring people on. This is the vision. Let's make sure that we have a work structure so people don't go insane and create those beautiful systems that people could know where we're at on a daily basis. I can't wait till I get to hire a few more employees and have an environment where I can feel proud of the work that we're doing, the fact that I'm able to pay these employees for what they're doing and the business that we're building and the successes that we see. I just want that to be a thing that we all go along together rather than, hey, they're all here making money for me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I know that's a little
Yeah.
different than burnout, but I want to create a team so I can trust them to take on those duties and stuff like that.
Well,
So I'm not
I was
burnt
going
out
to
doing
say,
everything.
no, absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. I was going to say what that statistic really shows me is actually something that we can see not just in business, but in almost every single
Yeah.
aspect of what we're doing. It's always harder to start something new than it
Mhm.
is to keep something growing and effective and moving along. Even in our businesses, content strategy, it works really to get involved with a business and build and make them grow as much as they possibly can to starting something entirely new, trying to go out with new clients or whatever that might be, right? And that works for a lot of different people too. So when I saw this stat, I thought it was incredible as to how applicable it is, not just to work, but to every single aspect.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nick,
So,
or
100%.
excuse me, Raymond, last thoughts?
You just confused me
I
with
did. I was looking at his name
you should
while I
be
was
so
looking at your
lucky.
face.
You
I'm
should be
honored.
so lucky.
I'm so honored.
That's right. That's right. We know you are.
God. Oh, that handsome devil. I'll be Nick any day. What? Oh.
It's still recording.
Oh,
Thank
it
you so
is.
much.
Oh,
I
shoot.
appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, with I guess my thoughts on this stuff is just I've been thinking about like reflecting on my business and my personal stuff, and it's it's really really important just to make sure that you're mentally okay and you're mentally taking that time. And like I was thinking like doing the long-term stuff, keeping things growing. Like one of my retainer clients, like it's so easy and it's so nice, and we're getting things dialed in, but I'm like not stressed out about it. It's all the new stuff. Like what Nick was saying, it's take all this. That's where lately my burnout has been coming. But my retainer clients, I'm like, it's nice. It's just like it's there. We already got things dialed in, loving it. So now my goal is to make sure that I set things up, and I guess just keep working on setting stuff up for me personally, so that way it doesn't trickle down to the videographers, my editors, and the other stuff that I'm doing, and affecting my personal life because it has a little bit,
Yeah.
Um,
Well, if I can help you guys out, I had the opportunity to meet with Frederick this past week. Frederick was one of the guys that are live event that has a online coaching or kind of education. I'm trying to get more information out of him, but how to, find pain relief in your body. And I know that sounds completely weird for we're talking about burnout, but one of the things that we were talking about was that every time that we get overwhelmed or something happens, we inhale, right? Something bad happens. We like take this huge inhale breath. But when we figure things out or overcome things, we usually exhale. And he's like, start exhaling more when things start overwhelming you. And you can start reprogramming your body and stuff because we retain a lot of this anxiety and stresses inside of our bodies and stuff. And obviously, burnout is a high stress factor. So, next time, same kind of thing would take 10 deep breaths, but he was saying more focused on your exhale, especially when something might go wrong. Try to exhale instead of inhale. And that was my little moment of Zen for you. Thank you, Nick, Raymond, so much for sitting down with me again. I want to thank all of our listeners for tuning into today's show. If you actually enjoyed what you heard, tune in every week for more. And please consider subscribing on whatever platform you're enjoying us on. If it's on Apple Podcasts, be sure to give us the biggest 5-star review you can. And until next time, remember, now is the time to turn that content creation into monetization. We will see you guys on the next episode of Mind Body Content. We'll see you soon.